ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्म विद्वरम्। समचरण सरोजं सान्द्रनीलाम्बुदामं जघननिहितपानिं मण्डनं मण्डनानां तरुण तरुणतुलसीमालां कन्धरं कञ्जनेत्रं सदयधवलहासं विठ्ठलं चिन्तयामि। विठ्ठलं चिन्तयामि। 110. The soil is humid by rains and the warehouse is full of seeds. But if a wise farmer does not sow the seeds properly, it is useless to talk about crop. 111. Suppose a man suddenly finds a gem, but if he does not know its value, he has to find a person expert in that matter, and then only the gem is known to be precious. 112. Similarly, our Atman, our self, is always present with us, but the persons who are wise take the advice of the Guru and then only realize it. But because the Guru is complete and the whole bliss itself. 113. People who are pious and keep upon self knowledge approach the Sadguru and serve him because the Guru is bliss incarnate. 114. The Uddhava, you may say that Guru is just one of many means for attaining freedom. That person who says this will be wrong in his concept and will totally lose the chance of self-knowledge. 115. If one says that one has approached the Sadguru, who is just a means to reach the Brahman, and that the aim, which is Brahman, is quite different from Sadguru, that also is a disastrous, wrong concept, lead to doom of the aspirant. 116. I say this because the Sadguru is always rich with the experience of the joy of spirit, and whose satisfaction is only in the spirit, cannot be different from the spirit, the cosmic energy. 117. Salt becomes the sea only when it merges in it. A small flame of a lamp becomes the wild forest fire when it touches that fire. 118. Similarly, he who understands the spirit cannot remain separate from it. Similarly, the Guru and the Brahman were and are never different from each other, which fact is asserted by Upanishads. 119. Suppose a doll is made of ghee, it is the ghee only which is in the form of a doll. Similarly, Guru is not only a person, but Brahman in the form of a person. 120. He is the statue of living spiritual joy, or we can say that he has purposefully embodied himself in order that people can visually see the festival of the spiritual joy in his body. 121. We may say that millions of heaps of merit are required to be lucky to see such a person, but it is not easy to definitely see him by such praise. 122. There is rain of joy wherever the Sadguru looks, and the great wisdom of the self is present wherever he may so desire. 123. When we see the lotus feet of Guru, the hunger and the thirst disappear. Any type of concepts and ideas never arise, and so we can say in short that the joy of the self resides at the feet of the Guru. 124. The words are thoughted while describing the signs of ideal Sadguru. What signs can be thought of in respect of the Guru, who is the eternal Brahman? 125. But I dare to tell about only one great sign, that is that there is total peace with the Guru. But I must say that except this sign, no other signs are there to know from outward appearance that a certain person is Sadguru. 126. Peace is contentment Peace is knowledge of Brahman, and please understand that peace is definitely complete Brahman. 127. The disciple heard about the greatness of Sadguru and his devotion greatly increased. 128. He set out to find the real Sadguru. His eager heart would not allow him to rest. He started to think about the signs of Sadguru continuously day and night. 129. He said to himself, when when would I become lucky enough to see the great and powerful Sadguru? When will my bondage be broken? When will my mind be peaceful? In this way, he became crazy for a glimpse of Sadguru. 130. He said, my life is coming to an end. Still, I have not met my Sadguru. If this body is finished, then everything will end. Even if he utters 131, even if he utters the name of his guru, he runs faster than mine and he clings to the very idea of meeting the guru. His eagerness becomes so ardent. 132. If the absence of guru, he offers worship by his mind only, and that time his life cannot be contained in his heart. 133. In order to find his Sadguru, he travels from one place of pilgrimage to the other and one forest to the other. While doing all his daily routine, he does not forget his Guru even for a moment. 134. With the hope that perhaps Sadguru may happen to be any of the various persons he comes across, he bows before each and everybody and worships them. He honors and pays respect to all Brahmins and so that perhaps his Guru may meet him. 135. He utters Guru Guru like a bear, remembering his prospective Guru and does not think anything else. 136. He remembers and thinks about the Guru without a break while sitting, taking food, sleeping, while dreaming, and while he is awake. 137. See, even by remembering his Guru for a moment, he forgets his thirst and hunger. He puts aside the comforts of his home and turns his face towards his Guru and the spiritual way of life. 138. When a person has so much love and longing for his Guru and his concern about meeting the Guru goes on increasing, I myself meet him in the person of that Guru. 139. The more he is eager, the earlier this meeting takes place. Among all the means of reaching me, intense eagerness is the most important one. 140. Even after employing millions of ways and means, not a farthing of self-knowledge can be gained. But if only half an hour is spent in the worship of Guru, profound self-knowledge will arise in one's heart. 141. When one devotes himself to the Guru, even the liberation comes and lays itself at the feet of the devotee. But the devotee does not accept that freedom because he is totally engaged in the worship of the feet of the Guru. 142. The fondness of the devotee for the feet of the Guru is so acute that it makes one forget the great mountain of happiness which the liberation offers. Only those who do not like to serve Guru suffer from the bondage of the worldly life. 143. In order to break through the bondage of this worldly life, it is necessary to worship the Guru. The worship of the Guru, my worship, is my worship because we are not different from each other. 144. So I have thus explained to you very clearly how great is the love and devotion in the minds of the disciples. 145. The Lord Shri Krishna said to Uddhava, now in this context, as a matter of course, I shall tell you the qualities of good disciples.
अमान्यमत्सरो दक्षः निर्ममो दृढसौहृदः असत्वरोऽर्थजिज्ञासुः अनसूयुरमोघवाक्.
Meaning of the verse, he should be free from pride, jealousy and sloth and attachment. He should be firmly faithful to his Guru and begin being cool and a seeker of self-knowledge. He should not be fault-finding and not indulging in useless talk. 146. A good disciple becomes very uncomfortable when people propose to felicitate him. His pangs and pains are as severe as those of a fish hooked by the fisherman. 147. Just as a child is afraid if there is talk about a phantom, he is afraid as soon as somebody says that he should be honored. 148. Just as a banana tree is disturbed by a strong wind, or just as by waves of water, the reflection of the sun is disturbed. 149. So he cannot tolerate the very idea of being felicitated. Social status is a thing he abhors and he never accepts applause. 150. Fearing that the pride about the physical body would be stronger if he accepts public acclaim, he does not hold in his mind any idea of honor and pride and remains meek and unnoticed. 151. He tries to find such ways and means by which people would not notice him, honor him, or take his name with respect. He remains incognito as far as possible. 152. He is dejected by the idea of ceremonious felicitation. He becomes disinterested in his body and home. He prefers to live in solitude and does not harbor affection and attachment to division and duality. 153. He frequently wishes not to be seen by anybody, recognized by anybody, and nobody should be annoyed at him. 154. Just as a rich man fears if a robber is chasing him, he hides himself behind the tendency of negligence of his body as soon as he finds that he is about to have any honor. 155. He tries not to be noticed by anybody or seen by anybody with respectful eyes and cannot tolerate publicity and recognition. 156. He does not even mentally imagine himself to be publicly honored, and for achieving this, he leaves aside the concept of I and mine because honor will result in egoistic attitude because strengthened. Sorry, egoistic attitude being strengthened. 157. Only they expect public applause who have a great conceit about themselves. He who drops all conceits would never expect public recognition. 158. He who accepts honor cannot tolerate insult, and this itself is a sign of increased self-conceit. He therefore abhors public honors. 159. Really, if we see, we find that a man of knowledge and learning wishes to be applauded and appreciated, and therefore he shows off his learning. There is the sense of me and mine barking behind his desire, always on the lookout for some material gain. 160. So the main sign of a disciple is that he has no wish for publicity or appreciation. Now I shall tell you what is the quality of non-jealousy is. Please listen. 161. Even men of knowledge become each other's enemies because they are jealous about the knowledge of each other. The pride of one's own physical body makes its home within the consciousness of the jiva. 162. The pride about being a knowledgeable person cannot be fully described. The sage Vishwamitra was creating a knowledge parallel to the original world, only became he was proud of his knowledge. For this, he wasted lot of his power and developed it by penance. 163. The sage Durvasa was also proud of his knowledge, due to which he in vain cursed Ambarisha, and I went through many incarnations for the devotee of mine, because otherwise I would have been subject to pride. 164. The god Brahma became proud of his knowledge and power. That is why he had to taken into hiding the cowherds and the cattle. And I had to take various apparent forms or forms of all of them due to the fear of pride. Due to the fear of pride. 165. O Uddhava, pride of power of knowledge is very subtle. The sages Vasishtha and Vishwamitra were quarreling with each other due to their pride only. 166. I adopted the role of a cowherd because I am afraid of the pride of even being the Almighty, and all beautiful gods. The Brahmins who were engaged in performance of yajna took me to be a stupid cowherd because they were proud of their rituals and particular knowledge. 167. When I went through so much trouble to avoid pride, what can we say about others? The tight bondage of the pride of knowledge is seldom discarded even by the learned. 168. This pride never even goes near an ignorant person. This pride develops enmity between the intellectuals and makes them jealous. 169. So he who wants to be free of jealousy should give up pride of knowledge. Otherwise, that pride creates jealousy in the mind of man of knowledge. 170. Now, please know from me what the jealousy entails. There is increased pride in the body, and that pride becomes strong by being knowledgeable. Greed for money also enters the mind. 171. He who has all these evils bears jealousy with hatred also in his mind. A pure minded disciple cannot tolerate all this. He simply drops all sense of jealousy. 172. Consider the peculiar tendency of jealousy. It always affects the men of knowledge. The jealousy of scholars is very powerful. They hold on to it till their death. 173. All Pandits are, as a rule, very jealous. Outwardly, they humbly talk sweet words, but the intention and the content of their mind is full of taunts and fault finding. 174. By jealousy, Pandits get angry with others and curse them by making mischievous charges against each other. Such jealousy does not even touch the mind of a good disciple. 175. When jealousy does not spare even the men of knowledge, what will the ordinary persons do? But a good disciple does not become jealous and hateful about anybody. 176. The good disciple must always remain free from jealousy. I will tell you an example. 177. Even if somebody takes away from him something of benefit which he is about to get, he does not allow anger and hatred rise in his mind, as he is having faith that in everything the God Almighty is dwelling. There is no place of hatred in his mind. 178. He does not get insulted or offended by any bitter and abusive words uttered by a bad person because he thinks that this abusive language and insult are really helpful. 179. He thinks that the person who blames him is like his own mother. He takes care of his welfare and she has washed the sins in his mind and made him pure. 180. By such attitude, he does not allow hatred to touch his mind. This is freedom from jealousy, and this is the second sign of a good disciple. 181. Now I shall tell you the third sign, which is alertness, by which you will know how alert disciple must be for his own welfare. 182. Alertness means awareness. When the sun of wakefulness arises, he makes the darkness of lazy respite disappear, and the day of constant concentration on the Guru begins. Shortly, midday of courage brings a state of balance. 183. As soon as such a day arises, the group of Shama and Dama start to walk on the path of devotion, and they never stop even for a moment on the path. 184. On this path, drinking water of self-wisdom is available on every other step, which quenches the thirst of the travelers, and even the thirst is removed. 185. On this path, when the saints who are his own villagers meet him with the common feeling of Soham, there is no fear of being misguided, and all of them walk straight towards self-realization. 186. Oh, Uddhava, please note that in the state of constant alertness, the mind is never lazy or depressed. This is the third sign of a good disciple. 187. Now he has left the sense of possession of many old things, but the virtue of the experience of the Atman, he does not even remember that renunciation. 188. If one thinks that one is only body and becomes proud of it, the sense of relationship with the kith and kin increases. But if the mind is not touched by the pride about the body, the sense of mind immediately disappears. 189. He evidently sees how the body is very dirty and perishable. So the idea of I am body disappears and is replaced by the concept of I am Brahman. 190. He develops the concept of Soham and has left me the mind. This is the quality, unattachment or the lack of the sense of possession. Nirmamta. This is the fourth sign of a good disciple. 191. In the matter of
Hariom. We can pause over here. Thursday session we will be holding and we'll continue this. So we'll have this only till 10:05 or something reading. So normally we had increased that 5 times, no? 5 minutes. Okay, Padmaji, over to you. You tell what you felt. What are your thoughts while reading it?
I remembered Paramahamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, I remembered reading about Guru just now. Like when he touched the gold, he had the burning sensation. Likewise, if any Guru is felicitated, they are scared like that.
Any other thoughts? Anyone else want to comment anything?
It's about all the signs of a good disciple, which is they shouldn't have jealousy and they should be alert. And these two, I mean, it's just stuck in me. So that there were four, I think he mentioned. And he shouldn't have a sense of pride of his own body. So the feeling that I am the body should disappear, then,
Yes.
that's the main thing. Soham. And yeah, those three.
The flower of knowledge is very subtle. Literally, it is. And our scriptures tell it so boldly out, and we always feel that it is for somebody else. If it should be first applied on us, and if we see all this, sometimes we get consumed by it, and we don't have that eye to see our own deficiencies or but we are having that pride, that recognition doesn't come. And Maharaji has put it in such lovely words. Yeah, that's why alertness, awareness. So he says that in 182, no, alertness means awareness.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else with any other thought? Sorry?
I said we are all disciples. I mean, we are in that stage. So we have to be constantly alert.
Yes. Nikhilaji, you were saying something.
You rightly said, Varshaji, that these scriptures you have to look into us first, then finding fault others. Once I heard Gurudev's talk on this. On 17th chapter, we have the gunas according to the food nature we like. So Gurudev said that it is not to describe others, it is for us how we are in that nature, sattvic or rajasic.
Yeah. It is for us first. Beautiful reading. I have marked something. Let me see where the first and second I have marked. Not seeing it. Like now, the fourth sign of a good disciple is nirmamata, correct? In 190 we saw. Then the third sign is in 186, never lazy or depressed. Okay. But that second and the first sign, where did it went? Where did... So that I'm not getting. The fifth and sixth, all other signs I had marked in my previous reading, but I'm not able to mark it
The
out.
second one is, I think, 180, and before that, the description came, where he
This
says
is the
doesn't
the
allow
second, this is
freedom
the
from
freedom
jealousy.
from jealousy is the
Yeah,
second sign.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
where is the first one?
Yeah, that's one thing I was also looking for. And is
Where
it
is
the
the
pride
first
of
one?
his own physical body, or maybe?
Mm. Can anybody say?
Mm. And I like that part where Krishna says, even I was afraid that I'd become too proud. So I took, adopted the role of a cowherd, so that he also is not affected by pride, because he is the Almighty and the most beautiful God. So it's like everybody can be, they can become proud, or that pride can attack them.
So that could be the first pride of power of knowledge that
Yeah.
we'll mark at first. Somewhere
Mm.
in 163, 164, 165, around there it will, that topic comes.
Yeah.
Jealous.
And also in
162,
176,
Sorry,
The
one?
pride being a knowledgeable person cannot be. 162 is a pride of being a knowledgeable person.
That's a. So that would be the first one. Yeah, good. So let's end today's session over here. Padmaji, you can go ahead.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om, Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you, Padmaji. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Tomorrow, who's taking the turn? Okay. And Thursday? Venkateshji wants
I'll
to
do
do.
it. Yeah, I can do it. That's
So tomorrow,
sure.
Nikhilaji, Thursday, Venkateshji. Then Monday, you are there, Lataji?
Yes, I think I can do it on Monday.
Okay.
Should be able to do. Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll do it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Padmaji can do it on Wednesday and we'll rotate. Okay. Is everything okay with Sajivji? I'm not seeing him these days in classes. Neither the PDFs of Narayaniam are coming in.
Ji is very busy with his work. He has joined a new organization and they're draining him. Yeah.
No wonder.
We
No
met
wonder.
him on Sunday to give his trophy. Lataji got his trophy from India.
How do y'all are earning your trophies? I'm so proud. Yeah, my God. Egmore trophy is like most precious one.
Yeah.
So nice.
So I had the opportunity to go and collect all there and post it to them. Pushpaji
So,
got.
Pushpaji, you, Sajivji, and who else
Then,
got?
then Sarojji's granddaughter and Rajkumari ji got also.
Rajkumari.
She also got.
So nice.
So, yeah, she also. She did 1 to 3. It was very good. I think she got for that. I don't remember now.
Okay, Hari Om. See you all tomorrow. Hari
Hari
Om.
Om ji.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Hari Om. Thank you.